Womanjika, or welcome to the University of Melbourne. Tonight is a big moment for you because you were there for the tears, you were there for the late night study, you were there for all of the tours of different campuses, you read the prospectuses, you were there in the queues asking questions, but importantly, you were by the side of your son, daughter, family member, sibling as they reached that important moment where, congratulations, they got into the University of Melbourne. So this is a massive milestone for you because you were a huge part of that support. My name is Zoe Wall and I will be your host for a special session just for family, friends, guardians, and even pets if they want to join in too. Because one thing's for sure, it is a team effort. And we were just listening to the Australian Classic by my side, by In Excess, and you can still be by your son, daughter, sibling side anytime. And we're going to give you some great tips in order to know a bit about how we're going to be looking after them and being right by their side, and also things that you can do to help them feel prepared and also get settled, started, and help them along the way of the journey, whether they're going into undergrad or grad. So before we get started though, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the lands on which you join me throughout the world. I join you from the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Australian culture, what you just experienced was an acknowledgement of country. It's something really important to us at the University of Melbourne and in Australia. It's our way of acknowledging our nation's first people. And it's something that you, if you join in other events with us at the university, or you may have studied with us, or something that your family or friend who's starting at the university will experience. So just to explain that one. Now, this one is all about meeting your needs tonight. So I have an incredible crew of chatters behind the scenes. So please post your questions in the Q&A chat and we will put your questions to our experts that we have tonight who are fantastic, and we'll also be answering them as we go along. Should we not get to your question, we will follow them up directly to make sure that you're able to get the answers that you need. And remember, we are here, whether it's tonight, but every moment of the journey, we're here to help. It's new, whether you are in Australia and you grew up, or 50,000 kilometers away, starting university or going from undergraduate to graduate is always a big change. And we know what that's like. So before though, we do want to make a note on how excited we are that now students will be joining us on campus and online. And that's because we know that some of you out there, your family member or friend may not have been able to get flights yet or pick up and organise their life quick enough in order to start classes. So we will be offering the full University of Melbourne experience, both online and offline. So whether your family member or friend can't get here until semester 2, they'll be looked after. So what is life like in Melbourne at the moment? As news headlines about COVID continue to dominate around the world and what's happening, it is a global pandemic. Life is a lot more like the new normal, as we've all been figuring out. Retail is open. You can go to concerts, cafes, restaurants, live events, sporting events. In fact, the Australian Open starts next week and I'll be courtside. There are lots of safety measures in place and regular updates that the university provides all of our community. We have been there with our students throughout the past 2 years and we've been evolving to match their needs. So as different things factored into their lives, we made sure to proactively either put new initiatives in. So we spent 65 million in support and funding for students just last year. And when we had students that were struggling or needed upgrades to their technology for online learning, we were there for them. And in fact, we've put some new measures in place to help students get settled at the University of Melbourne. And we're going to continue to do that, and things that include enhanced counselling services, but making sure that all of our opportunities are available, whether you're at one of our global campuses, your bedroom or study, or whether you're right here on campus in Melbourne. Now, Victoria is a pretty safe place. We are one of the most vaccinated countries in the world in Australia, but in Victoria, we are just under 94% of the population is fully vaccinated. And we have a wonderful healthcare system that you'll hear more about. I'd like to think that the university has contributed quite a lot to that, being in the world's top 20 in terms of medical and natural health sciences. So just a shout out to our colleagues doing some incredible research there. On campus, we're doing everything to make sure that your family or friend will be safe. So we've got extra deep cleaning. We're thinking about ways to make sure that we can have the right distance, COVID safety monitors, and again, we'll continue to make sure that, rest assured, your family member will be safe and looked after. So we've talked about that situation here in Australia and in Melbourne, but let's get to getting the first tips for you with ways that we're going to look after your family member and friend, or how you can help support them, because it doesn't end there. So let's get started. My first guest is incredible. She knows exactly the kinds of things that our students need help with and how you can help them get ahead and have a successful journey at the University of Melbourne. Please welcome Shari Blank, who comes to us as the Student Programs Coordinator. Welcome to the screen, Shari. Hi, Shari.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
So I feel lucky having you here today. So you literally are inside the minds of students and you know how to help them get ahead. And I think you're going to have some great tips for the parents today. So Shari, I think they're in good hands. I'm going to disappear for a moment, leave it with you, and I'm going to pop back later. So please post your questions in the chat, and some of them I might even put to Shari live. We'll test you there, Shari. Over to you.
Yeah, great. So Zoe has touched on quite a lot of the measures and the programs that we've introduced last year for COVID responses. I am going to touch on quite a lot of them today, but what I'm really going to be talking about is essentially how we support, enhance and engage students throughout their degrees. So let me just open up. Let's see if I can do this. Sorry, one of the things, there we go, that is working. So one of the things I'm not great at is the technology aspect, but I am definitely looking after the support and engagement of students. So yeah, as Zoe's noted, I am the Student Programs Coordinator. I'm part of a team that looks after a number of collaborative programs, but we look after transition, orientation, engagement and employability. So really co-curricular and extracurricular activities that help students both develop, grow, and also support students throughout their degree. So really building those foundations that students need to thrive. So some of the things I'm going to talk about today is really what services are available, some of the key things to note that we do offer to students, and also some of the ways that we do help students, develop areas of development or work through different skills, or really build what we want as well-rounded human beings. So let me just start with the first one. The first thing that I really wanted to touch on is starting confidently. So the idea that we really want students to start their degree as confidently as possible. And that's really making sure that students have what they need, they know how to get set up, they know what to do, and pretty much can hit the ground running from day one. And part of that is the orientation program, but there's a number of other programs highlighted through there. So you can see just a couple of things we will be talking about: the commencement ceremony, the peer mentoring program.
I'm going to pop in there, Shari.
Yep.
We just need you to share your other screen, because you're giving away all your secrets.
I'm doing it again. Yes. Thank you for letting me know.
While you do that, I can share with our audience tonight that the good news is we have a full team of professionals in our learning environments who have been doing incredible things to do with online learning. So if you will be joining us from home on offshore to Australia. That's the bonus. They've been doing incredible things. So after that announcement, back to you, Shari.
Yes, so that team is far more skilled at this than I am. I will guarantee that I am not in charge of part of the virtual offering. So that technical side sits with someone else who's much more of an expert. So like I said, I'll be talking about these 4 programs, just a bit about how to start your semester and how to start confidently as a student. So orientation is one of the big ones. It's making sure that our students know what's going on, that they're ready to start for their faculty session, but also that they do get connected, meet other students, and that they're able to engage in different programs that will help them develop, identify skills that they might need, like academic skills, and also to feel like they're part of the University of Melbourne community. So part of that, as I've highlighted, is the commencement ceremonies. I'm going to give a couple of tips tonight. The first one is attend orientation. So for your students, for your family members, we do very strongly encourage you to attend orientation. Not only do you get the information that you need to start, but you also meet a cohort of new students. And the feedback that we get from orientation or in week 1 is always, I wish I'd met more students. I wish I'd made more friends. I wish I'd had more time or thought more about making sure that I do get on campus and experience some of those things. So it's a lot of these programs that I've highlighted are designed to ensure that students do build those connections and they do find out a bit more about what's going on in their degree and also at their university. So that's my key tip for the orientation. Make sure that you go and make sure you go to as much as possible. I've also noted that, again, noting that we are in a bit of a varied environment right now, all offerings will be offered both in person and online. So it's just good to note that those students will be, students, no matter where in the world you are, you'll be able to experience that orientation. So that's being catered to. Great. The next point that I wanted to talk a little bit about is the academic advising. So with orientation, I've mentioned that that's meeting your peers, that's talking to other students, and that's engaging with some students at different year levels as well. So there are different ways to engage with other students. But one of the key programs that we offer at the University of Melbourne, and it's another key tip, is to make sure that you attend your academic advising session. So this is in semester 2 of the student's first year, but it is one of those programs that's designed once students do get a bit of a handle on how the semester feels, what the calendar looks like, what exams and assessment looks like. Then the semester after, they'll be paired with an academic advisor. So the academic advisor is there to help them ask questions about their degree, get to know more about research that's happening at the University of Melbourne. And Zoe touched on, we're doing some great research in so many different fields. So this is really the student's first chance to get exposed to some of that academic knowledge. It's also a great way to have a mentor in their program as well, so someone to look out for them, and also someone to identify things like career goals, maybe to talk a bit about what a degree can do and where it can take you, and to identify some of the opportunities or development areas that might be a good idea to explore. Great. So we've talked again a lot about the first couple of months of our university. And what I wanted to talk now about is just getting to know so many more of the programs on offer for students. So there's so many different ways that students can get involved. I highlighted that my team in particular looks after engagement, employability, and orientation opportunities. And that's really where we start to look at the ways that students can build skills, identify some of those key soft skills that employers are looking for, and really ensure that students are exposed to as many different experiences. They get volunteering experience, they understand how to articulate some of the skills that they've learnt, or they are able to connect with some of our industries. So I just want to quickly touch on some of the things that we talk about when we do talk to students, and we have so many different touch points with students and so many different things that we can offer to different students. So it's really about finding what students are interested in, what they want to explore, what they want to develop. If there's anything that they're really wondering, I want to learn how to juggle. That's something that they can learn at the University of Melbourne. I want to volunteer in the community gardens. I want to attend one of our performances down at the South Bank campus. So again, what we encourage is that students do look at different kind of breadth opportunities and really look at the ways that they can explore other interests at the university. So this is just some of the suggestions that we've made, and I've taken this from one of the slides that we talk about with students when we advise students. But as you can see, there's so many different areas and things to explore. So that would be my next tip, is to find what interests you, find what you want to learn, and really go for it. So if you are talking to, your family member, your student, your son, your daughter, we really encourage you to make sure that they know that there's so many things on offer, and they just have to ask, or they just have to search online and find some of the different opportunities that are there. And again, just to quickly note that those programs and those opportunities are available both online and in person. So we are really building a hybrid delivery of a lot of these at the moment. Great. So again, talking a bit more about enhancing some of those things. So some of, really building towards what students are here to do. And we know that a lot of them are looking to develop their career goals. We know that they're looking to go on and do a graduate degree, maybe get some work experience, maybe think about networking with someone in industry. And we offer all of those opportunities to students as well. So just going to quickly touch on some of those too. This is really just, again, a key slide that I just wanted to talk about, because while we talk about Stop 1 and student services, I think we tend to think about the traditional services, things like course planning, timetabling and fees. And of course, those are all offered. But I just really wanted to highlight so many of these are also, if students are doing really well, if students want to be challenged, if students are looking to talk through some of their future planning, all of these services are there to help students explore those different areas. So again, I've talked about the administrative, I've talked about admissions, but it's that skills development. So career support, academic skills, study abroad and exchange. My key tip there, again, to highlight another one, is really to make sure that students are exploring right from the start. So if they think about, if you have, if your son or daughter says, I want to go on exchange, we really strongly encourage them to start looking into that from the start of their degree, really start thinking about where they'd like to go. If they think, I'd really want to work on my public speaking skills, or maybe I want to present for my marketing class, but I'm not really sure, again, the career support team are there to help them. If they think, I'm a H2 student, so I get 75%, so I really want to get 90 or 95%, that's where we encourage them to talk to skills like academics, teams like academic skills. So again, it's not really just to ensure that students are supported and have a foundation when things go wrong, but when things are going right as well, these services are there to challenge students and to help students develop and build up their strengths as well, and really explore areas of interest. So yeah, that's my other key tip about student services. It's not just when things go wrong, it's also when things go right. And you'll note also the support services under that heading. There's a bit about talk about the health service, counselling and psychology. So my colleague will be talking about those in a few minutes. So just if you, if there's anything you'd like to know about that, we'll come up to that in as soon as possible. Okay, that really brings me to the end. It's just really key to touch on, and I think what I really want to emphasize is to ensure that you, your student is really accepting as many different challenges, asking for help, being proactive and really developing, so really exploring those areas of interest. And I think that's the thing that I really want to highlight. There's so many opportunities at the University of Melbourne, and we strongly encourage students to seek those out whenever possible. Great.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Shari. So we saw some really wonderful opportunities there. I've got some questions for you, and I'm sure the audience do too. So we're going to hold on to them now. So keep your questions coming through, and I'm going to invite you back later. So stick around and we'll see you back here soon. Thanks, Shari. Okay, so healthcare and wellbeing has never been more important, and we know that it's an important thing on your minds as family member, guardian or parent, or even the family pet. So next up we have our on-campus Bupa consultant, who's going to be sharing more insights about the way that your family member and friend will be safe. So please welcome Nora Zhang. Welcome, Nora. Thanks so much for joining us all throughout the world today.
Thank you, Zoe. Thank you for having me today, everyone.
We really appreciate it. Now, I know I'm going to get out of the way because I know that our audience is really keen to hear your advice, tips, insights. And over to you, and I'll be back later.
Thank you. So hi everyone, I'm the Bupa on-campus consultant for the University of Melbourne. It's nice to be here and see you all today. Before I became the Bupa on-campus consultant, I was like your children, an international student, arrived in Australia in 2019 and studied at UniMel, just graduated last year. It is my pleasure to introduce our OSHC, Overseas Student Health Cover, to you today. Our company, Bupa, is one of the biggest health insurance providers in Australia. It has been operating for more than 70 years. Australian citizens have a public health cover called Medicare, and our OSHC is like the Medicare for international students. Students can get up to 100% of the Medicare benefit schedule for the cost of medical services provided by doctors in or out of hospital. So these are the most important slides for my whole presentation. These are the four main areas covered by OSHC. The first one is emergency ambulance coverage. Students are entitled to unlimited emergency ambulance transportation and on-the-spot treatment by our recognized providers. So when your children feel if it's life-threatening, don't hesitate and call 000. You will be covered for this part. If it's not life-threatening situation, we would suggest students to visit GP or nearby medical center first. And the second one is medical expenses. Medical expenses can be incurred when students are treated out of hospital or admitted to hospitals. Those are the fees charged by doctors, surgeons, and other specialists for any treatment given to you, such as blood tests, ultrasound, x-ray, etc. As I mentioned before, we will cover 100% of the Medicare benefit schedule fee. If your doctor charges more than this rate, there will be a gap for you to pay. And the next one is hospital expenses. When students are admitted to hospital as an inpatient, you'll be covered for in-hospital charges when provided as part of your in-hospital treatment, including accommodation for overnight stays, same-day stays, operating theatre, supplied medication approved by your doctor. And it's the better for students to go to public hospitals or hospitals that have agreement with Bupa. So if students are treated as non-agreement hospital, it is likely that students are not to be covered or to have large out-of-pocket fees. And for the last but not the least, outpatient pharmacy. Sometimes doctors may prescribe medication and students can climb up to $60 per prescribed item. I know one of the biggest concerns you have is, does OSHC cover COVID-related issues? So Australian government provides free vaccines to the public, including international students. If your children need booster jab, they can book via Australian government websites. COVID testing is also available for everyone, even if you're not an Australian citizen. And the worst scenario, what if students contracted with COVID and needs to be hospitalized in Australia? Students will get all the standard product benefits available to OSHC member. So when you need to see doctors and it's more convenient to visit our Bupa-friendly doctors. Bupa-friendly doctors have agreement with Bupa where they can submit the claim to us directly. And there's a higher chance that they can charge 100% MBS fee, eliminating out-of-pocket fees. So you can use this link here to find your nearest Bupa-friendly doctor. You might wondering sometimes you need help after like 9 to 5 working hour on weekends, on public holidays, when most of the clinics are closed. Don't worry, by calling this number 137425, National Home Doctors can come to your house and bring medication to you. How convenient is that? As a Bupa member, National Home Doctors services will be free for you. And after receiving medical services, how do you claim your money back? Using My Bupa is efficient and convenient. The first step is to register with My Bupa and then select Make a Claim from the menu, upload a copy from the GP and the doctor, and then that will be all you need to do. Not only we can help with medical services, you can also access to our 24-hour student advice line. This service is available for more than 180 languages. We are a bunch of nice people who love to support and help students. So contact this number if you need support. I've also provided Bupa's social media contacts here. Feel free to take a screenshot and you can send us a message when you need help in the future. This will be the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Nora. That was really wonderful to have you here. I hope that that makes all of our parents, guardians, and family members feel really safe. And we do have some of the very best medical care in the world in Australia. We're really, really lucky. So I am going to please welcome back Shari and stay with us, Nora, because the questions have been coming in thick and fast from our audience from all over the world. So I would like to start first with you, Shari. One of the things that students, no matter where they are in the world, worry about and probably talk to their parents, family, friends about is worrying about making friends, because you're going to have new social circles coming to another country and you're moving to university. So what are some of the ways that the university can help facilitate making friends? But also, if you could think about that in ways for students who either are in Australia already, flying to us soon, or those that won't be starting with us on campus in semester one. So what are your thoughts on that, Shari? What are your tips?
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of the biggest questions that we get asked, especially students starting out at the University of Melbourne. So my biggest tips is that, again, really look at the programs that are on offer, because we know that this is a problem. So, not a problem, but we know it's a concern for students. So we try our best to build programs that do encourage making friends. So the hot tips that I can give you is to join social breakouts, which meets every week. It meets twice a week and it's an hour conversation. Students can just drop in and they get cycled. Again, it's all virtual, so that it doesn't matter where in the world students are. They can cycle in to 15-minute groups and meet each other with a couple of scaffolded questions. So it's really just a quick, like, it's almost speed dating with other students. You'll get a question like, who was your first pet, or what's your favorite sport? And students have 15 minutes in that little breakout room of 4 students to talk to each other and meet each other. And then at the end, we offer, if they do want to stick around and maybe exchange details, they're more than welcome to do that. So that's one of the key programs that we've been running since lockdown started. Just again, acknowledging that students don't get a lot of that casual conversation when they're not necessarily on campus. The orientation challenge is the other one. It puts students into groups and they get a series of challenges throughout orientation. So it's, find this place on campus, or look on the GSA website and unscramble one of the words we've hidden in this part of the website. So again, students work together, they build teams, and they also meet that team throughout semester. And again, the peer mentoring program. So I did touch on that briefly, but that's a program where students get put into little groups, groups of 10, and they're assigned to an older student host who will give them tips and tricks about starting out, and we'll meet with them regularly throughout their first and second semester. And that's really, again, it's a great opportunity to share some of the experiences they've had. It's a really great opportunity to check, is it normal to feel that there's a lot of assessment in week 5, or I can't find the library, or how do I take my books back? All those kinds of questions you can ask both the students around you and the peer mentor. So those are really the key things. But all the other things that I've suggested as well is things like join clubs. If you love dogs, there's a dog spotting club. If you love chocolate, there's a chocolate appreciation club. So there's so many different ways that you can get involved based on your interests. And the conversations, especially around special interests, are really easy to start with. So there is a club that meets regularly 3 times a week and just plays video games together. And, you don't have to talk too much. If you're a bit nervous, that's a really great opportunity. If you're a bit shy as well, that's a great way to get involved and talk to other students.
Brilliant. And I think I found, Shari, back when I was studying a very long time ago, that even within your classes, the academics will do icebreakers. They'll help facilitate moving into study groups and things like that. So no matter where in the world students are from, they're all a bit anxious about that, but it happens. Even if you're in the line, you might strike up a conversation with anyone. But one of the best things I think is it really is a place, university, for finding those lifelong friendships, connections, people you may work with. So top advice from you there, Shari. That's fantastic. So we really appreciate that one. Now, I'm actually going to stick with you for a moment, Shari, because imagine a world where we can look after everyone right from before they even leave their home and come to Australia. What about those arriving tired at the airport after a long flight? Is there any way that students can get picked up, helped find their way in a new city?
Yes, we do have a number of support services for students. So we do have an airport shuttle that will take students from the airport, and they can arrange that. So that's one of the things that we'll talk about. Again, students will be contacted about orientation, students will be contacted about all the details, and all of those will come through. But when they get there, again, there's so many ways if they want to see the city. There's we have a really strong connection with UMSU International, which is our student union international support area, and they do things like a city scavenger hunt. They have, it's a restaurant crawl where they go to different hotspots in the city and they try different famous foods as well, so they can move in a big group. They do like a Victorian tour as well, where they go to different parts of the state. So there's a lot of those opportunities. But again, even those, the faculties will organise field trips. Those are some of the ways that they can get involved. But you can also just settle in and really do it slowly as well. So, you know, you can talk to other students, peer mentors will meet on different parts of the campus. There might be opportunities to go to some of the galleries across the road. So you can do it slowly and start branching out self-guided, but you can also join some of those opportunities that are offered as programs.
Oh, brilliant, Shari. And so for our viewer out there, absolutely, we will be there to welcome all of our new students, and the information we are posting as we go, important links that can help you get further information or book that airport pickup. So do watch the chat and do keep posting your questions in the Q&A. Now, Nora, over to you. We do have a hot question in the chat for you, and that is, how much does the healthcare insurance arranged through the university cost?
So it really depends on how long is the coverage. So for Advantage OSHC, the monthly rate will be $55, and it will change when it's different lengths, like the package and the exact date. So parents or students can send us email at students@bupa.com.au, and then we can provide an exact quote for your like the date you want. Yeah.
Brilliant. So that email again is students@bupa.com.au.
Yeah.
Correct. And I think we're posting that also in the chat. Still with you there, Nora. We're also wondering about any gaps. So can you explain what the gap would be in the cover?
Sure. So Bupa will cover 100% of the Medicare benefit schedule fee. So for example, if you go to the GP and then he charge you for like $100 for the consultation, and Bupa can cover $100 for that service, then there will be like, you don't need to pay for the service, or you can claim back all the money after. But what if like the doctors charge $120 for the service, but the government rate fixed for that service is only $100? So that means the extra $20 the students need to pay. That's the gap fee. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Now, this is also one for you, Nora, and coming to us from all over the world. But essentially, does the insurance cover dental care?
So OSHC does not cover dental or optical, while we do provide other like extra covers that you can add on to your OSHC if you need dental services or optical services.
Brilliant. And I should give a special plug to our own world famous faculty in the dentistry school who do really good, I guess, dentistry and services for all of the University of Melbourne community. So do check that out and you'll be looked after by the best. So we're going to swing back to this idea of orientation. We've got questions coming through there, and we've said how important it is for getting to know the university, make friends and understand the expectations. So Shari, one of our audience members has said that some of the orientation events seem to be closed or full. Will there be alternate dates, or will other places open up for the online students?
Yes, this is definitely my area of expertise. I do run the orientation website, and you and I both noticed that they were full last week. So we have worked to open a number of new places. I'd recommend that you check back. So a lot of the events that were full or not, you weren't able to register for, are now, new sessions have been added, or they've added more places to those sessions. So I definitely encourage you to check back. If you ever have any questions about orientation, or if there's any issues with the registration links or anything, just log an issue in the portal and that question will come directly to me. So I'm more than happy to resolve those for you one by one. But I would really encourage you to check that orientation website quite regularly, because they are being updated as we go. We know, again, because we're running this virtual mode, this hybrid model of in-person and online, we're really waiting to see what the popularity of both are. So sessions will be opening if there is high demand for one or the other, and we will have recorded versions of things. We'll have videos being uploaded, and we'll have additional support services and sessions added as we go along into February. So really just keep an eye on that website as much as possible.
Wonderful. You have been busy putting together orientation, but we know that everyone will really benefit from that. Now, Nora, we were talking earlier about the peer mentors, but another real unique thing about the University of Melbourne for undergraduate students is their academic mentor. And wanting to know a little bit more about it, is their academic advisor in their related field, or is it just any academic? Oh, sorry, Shari.
Yeah, no, that one's probably for me, although
Yes,
Nora can
yes.
probably speak to that from an expertise area rather than a coordination of the focus. So we could probably do both.
I like to challenge them sometimes.
So
Sorry.
academics are actually from the faculty. So the faculty, if you're a Faculty of Science student, you'll be assigned to an academic from within that faculty. We do try and match as much as possible based on subjects that students are choosing, but sometimes it can be, if you're a physics student, you'll be matched with a maths professor. That's not to say that the professors don't know each other and don't have key information to offer you. A lot of professors, because they work in that faculty space, will know who to talk to, they'll know how to recommend you, and sometimes it can just be having that academic mentor to set up an opportunity if you do want to talk more in detail about a specific subject. So they're really your first port of call, but that's not to say that that closes the opportunity. That means that they just open more doors for you. So I guess the answer to that is fingers crossed that they're in the area of expertise that you'd like to talk to, but if not, ask them for help with that.
Brilliant. And I just want to make mention for any family, friends of graduate students, each course has different ways of support, and you'll find out about that at your course orientation and things like that. So we are a university with 50% graduate students, so we think really carefully about ways to support you for the unique needs of graduate students. So thank you for that one, Shari. I think it's one of the highlights, having those academic mentors. And it's also worth mentioning that if you are in that situation where, you know, you're a maths major and you've got a physicist as your academic advisor, you will also find that in all of your subjects, there are other ways to access support and advice and feedback from each of your lecturers and tutors. And you'll find out all that information again during orientation and the first few weeks of your program and in support materials. So they will have lots of different access points, lots of different channels and modes of reaching them. And that's for students, as we said, both online and on campus. So we will look after you in that way. It's also another really good thing to do because most students actually don't know what their major is. So basically you'll have someone in the broader related field, and that can help you work out exactly where you might want to go, put a different spin on things. So I think that's one of the best things, and it aligns to the opportunity of the University of Melbourne model. So thanks for that, Shari. Now, we are nearly out of time, and I wanted to ask you both a big question. So thinking back through your experience at university and the newness of it, and the things that you might have gone to your family, friends, your parents, guardians, maybe even chatted to your dog about, in your case, Shari, I think. Dog lover, I think it's clear. What is the #1 tip you have for family and friends to help support a new student thrive and survive and thrive at the University of Melbourne? So Nora, over to you first, particularly since you were an international student yourself. What would you have wanted your family to be able to help you with?
Yeah, so when I thank to my family, my parents, they support me a lot for my journey, like studying overseas journey. The one tip I would say to parents and new students would be like keep in touch with your parents like on daily basis, or you can share your everyday news to them, to your friends, so you won't feel lonely in like when you are overseas like alone. So before I came to Australia, I was by myself, and then when I get off the plane, I was carrying 3 luggages, and then at that moment I feel like quite lonely, like because no one helped me, and then I have to drag all my
If
things.
only you come to the University of Melbourne, Nora,
Yeah,
we would have been there to greet you.
Yeah, and then I joined like Shura said, like about the orientation week. I joined so many like clubs, like language exchange clubs, and then try to make new friends in Melbourne and explore the city. Yeah.
Wonderful. Shari, how do you think family and friends can support new students?
Yeah, I think I might come from this in a different angle. I was a domestic student at the University of Melbourne, so first in family to attend university. I think the biggest support that I got from my mum was letting me make my own mistakes. Being at university, I know I'm going to phrase this a little bit better. So being at university is really about developing as an adult. So it's really about preparing to go into the world, to be independent, and to learn, how to, like I said, how to develop as for employability, how to build skills, but also just how to, everyday life things. So learning how to budget, learning how to navigate transport on my own, learning how to work a part-time job, all of these key skills. So I think it was really being supported, but also having room to, I was given room by my parent to develop, and also to kind of learn things on my own with support and with guidance and with help. But just to make sure that it was me who was, I was learning to be independent. So I think that's probably the key skill, is that this is really a time for students to find their feet. It's a time for them to learn who they are, and it's a time for them to work out what they want to do. And some of that means making mistakes. Some of that means maybe going through some difficult times and learning how to build resilience. And so that support is key, but it also is a time to find out exactly who they are.
Brilliant. And I think, and then you can just be there and remind them to ask questions, ask for help if they need it, because hopefully you've seen tonight that we've got everything covered. So whether it's help to get them to progress towards their dream career, make sure that they're ready for jobs that don't exist yet, make friends, have wonderful experiences, and get that academic support that they need. You'll all know that, thinking back, that this is a huge period of change. So it's exciting, nerve-wracking, so be there to listen. But what we want you to know is that we are there from all angles to support your family member starting at university. So I would like to thank you for all your wonderful questions. You've kept us really, really busy. This has only just started the journey. You are part of our broader community at the University of Melbourne, and there's lots of different ways that you can get in touch if you need further advice, you want further information about the ways that we are keeping the campus safe, that we are making the most of setting up your student to thrive at the University of Melbourne. So with that, I'd like to thank the incredible Nora and Shari. I'm sure our audience really valued all of your tips, tricks, insights, and are probably feeling a bit better about what's meant to happen next. So thank you so, so much. Now, one of the things that you probably have been thinking about all night is the idea about the academic support and course planning. So tomorrow we will be reconvening with all of our new commencing international students, and we will be diving deep into setting them up for how do you do course planning, how do you pick a major and subjects, how do you enroll in subjects. We're going to be troubleshooting some of those things, giving some great advice on finding that direction, what to do when you're learning and teaching in a new way. How do you do those first assignments? What's expected? Where do you get help? So that's tomorrow. So my ask to you in your way of supporting your family member coming over to the University of Melbourne, please tell them to tune in, and you can join them too. I'd like to see you. So